I need a husband, and you need strong offspring, whispers the giant alien widow to the weak human survivor. The stars stretched endless and cold around the tiny escape pod. Inside it, a man sat shaking, his lips dry, his body weak. He had been drifting for days. His oxygen was low, his food was gone. He thought this was the end. He thought no one would ever hear his story. The silence of space pressed on his ears. His head dropped forward. He closed his eyes, waiting for the darkness to take him. But then, something changed. A shadow fell across the pod. At first, he thought it was a planet, or maybe a ship coming to rescue him. Hope flickered in his chest. His eyes snapped open. What he saw was not a ship, not a planet. It was a figure so large it blocked the stars themselves. Two glowing eyes burned like twin moons, watching him from the void. The shape of a body unfolded, limbs long and powerful, armor like skin that shimmered in the starlight. She was no machine, no human. She was alive, and she was watching him. The man's throat went dry. His trembling hand reached for the pod's weak controls, but he froze when he heard it. A voice, not outside, not in his ears, inside his head, soft, low, heavy as thunder. I need a husband, the voice said. And you? You need strong offspring. The man gasped. His breath caught in his chest. He whispered to himself, This is a dream. This has to be a dream. But it was not. The giant hand reached out. Fingers larger than the pod itself curved around him. He tried to scream, but his voice failed. Metal groaned as the pod shook inside her grip. Slowly, carefully, she pulled him out of the endless drift of space. The man's heart pounded in his chest. Sweat slid down his forehead. His mind screamed at him to fight, but his body was too weak, too broken. And still, that voice filled him, calm, certain, stoppable. You are human, fragile, yet your spirit burns bright. My kind, we are dying. Alone, I will fade, but with you, I will live again. Her words wrapped around him like chains. His fear grew, but so did something else, a strange, forbidden curiosity. The giant alien widow brought him close to her face. Her eyes were not cruel, they were deep, old, tired. He saw sorrow in them, like a storm held for centuries. Her voice dropped lower, almost soft. Do not fear. I will not kill you. You are chosen. The man tried to speak. His lips moved, but no sound came. He wanted to shout, Why me? He wanted to beg, Let me go. But the words stayed trapped in his throat. His body shook as her other hand opened, revealing a faint glow. Not a weapon, not a cage, something else. Energy, pure and alive, hummed in the space between her fingers. She pressed it against his pod. Instantly, the oxygen rose. His chest filled with air. The crushing weight of suffocation faded. His life was no longer slipping away. The man sat frozen. He had been saved by her. But at what cost? The giant alien spoke again. Do you see? I can give you life, and you will give me what I seek. Her eyes locked on him, unblinking. He felt like prey trapped in the gaze of a predator. Yet there was something strange in her tone. Not just hunger, not just power, something almost gentle. Still, fear ruled him. The widow's voice grew louder, pressing deep into his skull. You will not drift alone anymore. You belong to me now. The man's heartbeat hammered against his ribs. His hands shook. His breath was sharp and shallow. The pod vibrated as she carried him through the stars. The wreck of his ship, the silence of space, his lonely death, all of it faded behind. Ahead, only mystery waited. The man tried to close his eyes, but he could still feel her gaze. Her words burned in his mind. I need a husband, and you need strong offspring. The darkness around him seemed endless, But one thing was clear. His life had changed forever. And as the screen fades to black, the voice of the narrator whispers gently, "If you wish to hear the rest of his journey and see where this path will lead, make sure to subscribe. Stay with us, and together we will discover the secrets hidden in the stars." The man sat in silence inside his pod, though the pod no longer drifted. It rested now in the palm of a giant hand. Through the cracked window, he saw her face, vast and impossible, like a mountain carved of living stone. Her eyes glowed with a pale fire that made his skin crawl. He wanted to speak, but the words refused to form. What could he even say? What words did a human man have for a creature so far beyond him? The giant alien widow tilted her head, studying him. Then her voice filled his mind again, heavy and deep, like thunder rolling over an empty plain. "Do not tremble. I have no use for broken prey. I saved you for a reason. You will hear it now." The man swallowed hard. His throat ached, dry as sand, but he managed a whisper. What are you?" Her lips did not move, but her answer struck him all the same. "I am the last widow of the Shiren. Once we were many. We walked among the stars like hunters across an endless field. Our warriors burned bright. Our mates bore children who shook the skies. But war took them all. My mate, my kin, my people, gone." Her eyes flickered, as if shadows of the past haunted her. She leaned closer, and her voice lowered until it was almost tender. "I am not meant to be alone. My body still carries the fire of life, but without a husband, it will go dark. My kind will vanish forever. That is why I have chosen you." The man's heart pounded. He gripped the broken seat of his pod, his nails digging into the metal. "Chosen me?" His voice cracked. "I'm just a man. I'm no warrior. I'm not even strong enough to save myself." The alien widow's gaze never left him. Her expression was unreadable, yet something in her eyes shifted, like pity or maybe amusement. "You do not understand your own worth," she said. "Your kind is fragile, yes, but you endure. You burn with a will no Shiren has ever known. That fire is what I seek. That fire will keep my children alive." Her words wrapped around him like a snare. He wanted to shout, to deny her, to say no, but his voice betrayed him. Instead he asked, "Children? You mean?" "Yes." Her voice boomed, shaking through him like an earthquake. "You will be my husband. You will give me strong offspring. Together, we will forge a new line, half human, half Shiren. They will rise higher than either of our kinds alone. They will rule the stars." The man shook his head violently. No, I can't. This isn't right. I don't even know you. You saved me, but that doesn't mean—" The alien's fingers tightened around the pod, metal groaning under the pressure, not enough to crush, but enough to remind him how fragile he was. Her voice dropped lower, almost a whisper, but it carried a terrible weight. "Do you think you have a choice? You were dead already, floating in silence. Your people will never find you. Your home is dust and memory. Only I remain. Without me, you vanish. With me, you live." The man's breath came fast and shallow. Panic squeezed his chest. He wanted to deny her, to spit in her face, but when he looked into those glowing eyes, he saw something strange. Loneliness. The widow's gaze was not only fierce, it was desperate. Behind her words, behind her strength, was a shadow of sorrow so vast it threatened to swallow him whole. Her voice softened. "You are afraid, I know. But fear can be turned into strength. You will see, I will not harm you. You are precious to me now." She opened her other hand. In her palm appeared a shimmering image, a vision glass, glowing like firelight. The man stared. He saw children, not quite human, not quite alien, running across fields of strange grass, climbing crystal mountains under violet skies. Their eyes burned with the same glow as hers. Their laughter rang like bells, echoing into the stars. "These could be ours," the widow whispered. "Yours and mine. They will not be weak. They will not drift alone in dying machines. They will carry your fire and my strength. They will survive." The man's throat closed. He wanted to turn away, but the vision pulled him in. For a moment, he forgot his fear. For a moment, he remembered his family, long gone, and the ache of being the last survivor. But then he forced his eyes shut. He clenched his fists. "No," he whispered. "I can't. I don't trust you. I don't even know if any of this is real." Silence followed. For a long moment, she said nothing. The pod floated in her grasp, the stars wheeling far behind her massive form. Finally, her voice came again, low, patient, unshaken. "You will learn. Time will show you. I have waited centuries for a chance like this. I can wait a little longer." Her hand closed gently around the pod once more, holding him as if he were a fragile jewel. The man pressed his head against the cold metal wall, his heart still racing, his mind caught between terror and wonder. He was alive because of her. He was trapped because of her. And now she claimed him as hers. As the stars blurred past them, the man whispered to himself, "What have I become part of?" But the giant alien widow already knew the answer. The pod rested in the palm of the alien widow's hand as she carried him through the stars. The engines of his escape craft were dead, the lights dim, but somehow life still pulsed inside. Her energy had restored his air and warmth, yet the man felt no comfort. He sat stiff in his seat, heart thundering, eyes locked on the giant face beyond the cracked glass. The widow's gaze followed him with unblinking patience. She did not speak again, not yet, but her silence weighed heavier than her words. The man pressed his forehead against the metal wall and shut his eyes. His breath fogged the glass. His body still trembled from hunger and weakness, but his mind was worse. Every time he blinked, he saw those visions she had shown him, children with glowing eyes, running under alien skies. A family not of Earth, a family born of him and her. He whispered into the empty pod, "No, I don't want this. I don't want her. I just want to go home." But the word home cut like a blade. What home? Earth was light years away, unreachable. His crew was gone. His people didn't even know where he was. In truth, he had no home left. The thought hollowed him out. And in that hollow space, her voice returned, smooth, deep, and certain. "You dream of home," she said, "but home is gone. You drift in emptiness. I offer you a place, a purpose, a future." The man snapped his eyes open, glaring at her enormous form. "You don't understand me. You don't know what I've lost." Her eyes glowed brighter. "Loss? I know loss. I watched my mate burn. I buried my kin in ash. I walk alone through the ruins of worlds. Do not speak to me of loss, human. You and I are not so different." Her words pierced him like knives. He wanted to scream that she was wrong, that she was nothing like him, but another voice whispered in his mind, his own voice, soft and traitorous. "Maybe she is like me. Maybe she's the only one who is." The thought terrified him more than her strength. He slammed his fist against the seat. "I don't want your future. I don't want your children. I want my life back." The pod shook. Not from her grip. She hadn't moved. It shook from his own trembling. His anger felt small in the face of her silence. Then, at last, she spoke again. "Your life was already gone. I gave it back. You will see the truth in time." Her voice wrapped around him, steady, like chains pulling tight. He hated how calm she was, how sure. The man covered his face with his hands. His chest burned. He felt a strange pull, half revulsion, half need. He wanted to escape her, yet a whisper in the back of his mind begged him not to. For the first time since his ship was destroyed, someone, something, saw him, not as debris in space, not as a corpse waiting to happen. She saw him as valuable, needed. But was that comfort or a curse? Hours passed, or maybe days. Time bled together in her grip. The stars flowed like rivers beyond the glass. She did not tire, did not release him. And in the silence, his thoughts turned darker. He thought of Earth, of the woman he once loved, now long gone. He thought of the family he never had, the children he never raised. And then, unwillingly, he thought of those alien children she had shown him, their laughter, their strength, their glowing eyes. Would they really be monsters? Or would they be his only chance at leaving something behind in a universe that had already forgotten him? The man shook his head violently, as if to tear the images from his skull. No, I can't. I won't. But even as he said it, his voice trembled with doubt. The alien widow leaned closer, her eyes filling the window until nothing else remained. Her voice lowered, soft as a whisper, yet it filled his mind completely. You fear me, but you also feel it, the pull, the hunger. You cannot deny it. You long for meaning, I long for survival. Together, we are not weak. Together, we are forever. Her words slid into him like smoke. He clenched his fists, digging nails into his palms until pain shot up his arms. I won't be your prisoner, he hissed. You are not my prisoner, she replied. You are my chosen. That is far greater. The man turned away, shaking. He wanted to resist her. He wanted to hold on to whatever fragments of humanity he still had left. But in the cold silence of space, her voice was the only sound. And in that silence, doubt grew. Was he truly fighting her? Or was he fighting G himself? The widow cradled the pod close to her chest as if holding something fragile, precious. She closed her eyes, and for the first time, he thought he saw peace on her face. The man pressed his forehead to the glass, his voice breaking into a whisper. God help me. I don't know if I want to escape. The stars rolled on, and the struggle inside him only deepened. The man awoke to light. Not the sharp white glare of a dying star, but a soft violet glow that pressed gently against his eyelids. He opened them slowly, his body stiff from restless sleep. For a moment he thought he was still inside the escape pod, but the walls were gone. The metal, the broken controls, the cracked window, gone. He sat up quickly, his heart jolted. He was lying on a surface that looked like stone, yet it was warm, humming with faint energy. The air around him shimmered, thick but breathable, carrying the scent of minerals and something sweet, almost like honey. The widow had brought him to her world. He rose to his feet, unsteady, his legs weak but working. He looked around, and the breath caught in his throat. The sky stretched like twilight frozen forever. Shades of purple and indigo rolled across the heavens, pierced by streaks of silver light. 2 moons hung above, one cracked, one whole, glowing like watchful eyes. The land itself looked alive. Forests of crystal trees glowed from within, their branches swaying though there was no wind. Rivers of liquid light cut through valleys, flowing like molten glass, and when he peered into them, he swore he saw shadows swimming below the surface, shadows with too many eyes. His skin prickled. This was no paradise. This was a world that demanded respect, a world that would swallow the careless whole. Behind him, the ground trembled. He turned, and there she was. The widow loomed, her form vast against the horizon, her silhouette framed by the twin moons. Her eyes glowed brighter than the rivers. Her body bent low, lowering herself so he could see her face. The man wandered deeper into the ruins. His steps echoed in the hollow chambers, the sounds swallowed by stone walls etched with symbols that glowed faintly, as if the carvings themselves remembered. The air was cool, heavy, and filled with the dust of centuries. Each carving told a story. Giants like the widow stood proud, their arms raised in triumph, their faces fierce and noble. But the further he walked, the more those stories twisted. Triumph became rage, rage became betrayal, and betrayal became fire. He saw images of cities burning, of warriors striking down their own kin. He saw families torn apart, children lost in the shadows of endless war. And in every image, one truth screamed through the stone. Her people had not only fought others, they had fought themselves. The man's stomach tightened. He whispered into the silence, "This is no story of heroes. This is a graveyard." The giant footsteps behind him shook the chamber. He turned to see her, looming in the doorway, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "You search my people's past," she said, her voice echoing through the ruined hall. "Be careful. The past is sharp, and it cuts those who cling to it." The man pointed at the carvings, anger breaking through his fear. "You told me they were destroyed by war, by others. But this shows you destroyed yourselves. Why hide the truth?" The widow's expression darkened, shadows rippling across her vast face. For the first time, her voice did not sound calm. It trembled just slightly. "Some truths are poison," she said. "My people were strong. Too strong. Pride devoured us from within. Betrayal ended what no enemy could. I am all that remains." Her words filled the chamber, heavy as stone. The man's chest burned with a mixture of pity and fear. "You want me to give you children," he said slowly, "but if they inherit your pride, your hunger, your war, what thus?" "This," her voice rumbled inside his head, "is my home." The man stepped back, his eyes darting across the alien land. It's alive," he whispered. "Yes," she replied. "Every stone here breathes, every tree remembers. My people once walked here as rulers. Now, only I remain." Her words echoed with sorrow, but the man's fear was stronger than pity. He looked at the towering crystal forests, the glowing rivers, the mountains that seemed to pulse with veins of light. "Why bring me here?" he demanded, his voice shaking. "Why not leave me in space? Why show me this?" The widow tilted her head, her voice softened, almost tender. "Because you must know the soil where our children will rise. This land will be their cradle. This sky will be their roof. They will be heirs to two worlds, yours and mine." Her words struck him like a hammer. He shook his head violently. "No, don't say that. Don't decide my future for me." The widow's gaze deepened. "Your future was empty, drifting, dying. I gave you more. You will see the truth in time." The man's fists tightened, his chest burned, but when he looked around again, he saw the ruins. Not far from where he stood, massive structures rose from the earth, halls of stone and crystal carved with symbols he didn't understand. The buildings were shattered, broken by time, their walls cracked and leaning, but their size told a story. Her people had been giants. Her people had once ruled this world in glory. Now those halls stood silent. No voices, no life, only her. The widow's voice returned, quieter this time. This was once filled with song, with laughter, with battles and victory feasts. But war brought silence. Betrayal brought ruin. The man swallowed hard. He stepped closer to one of the carvings. A scene was etched deep into the wall, enormous figures locked in battle, their weapons glowing, their faces twisted in rage. At their feet lay smaller figures, human-sized, broken, and bleeding. His blood ran cold. He whispered, "You fought. With my kind? The widow did not answer at once. Her silence was heavier than stone. Finally, her voice came, slow and careful. My people fought many. We conquered. We destroyed. But you survived where others did not. You endured. That is why you are valuable. The man's stomach turned. He stumbled back from the carving, shaking his head. So, this is it, isn't it? You don't care about me. You don't care about who I am. You just care about what I can give you. The widow's eyes narrowed, glowing like fire. For a moment, he thought her anger would strike him down, but instead, she spoke softly. You are wrong. I could have taken any drifting human from the stars. I chose you. You carry something in your eyes, something I cannot name. That is why you live. Her words unsettled him more than her strength. What did she see in him? What if she saw more than he did himself? The man turned away, his chest heavy. He walked toward the ruins, each step echoing against the silent stone. The widow did not stop him. She only watched, her vast shadow stretching across the glowing ground. In the ruins, he touched the carvings again. His fingers traced the lines of war, of death, of broken history, and in that moment, he wondered if he was standing at the start of the same story, or the end. The alien world pulsed around him, alive with beauty and danger. The widow's voice drifted behind him like a whisper carried on the wind. This is where it begins. This is where you will decide. The man closed his eyes. His heart raced. His breath trembled. And deep inside, a question burned. Would this world become his prison or his kingdom? He saw her loneliness, vast and terrible. He felt his own emptiness, sharp and hollow. The thought of filling that void with children, with a new future, both sickened and tempted him. Could he really say no to her? Could he really say yes? The chamber seemed to close in around him, the glowing symbols pulsing like heartbeats. His breath quickened. He was trapped, not just in this hall, not just in her grip, but in his own mind. At last, he whispered, I don't know. The widow bent low, her massive face casting him in shadow. Her voice rolled through him, soft but heavy as chains. Then I will show you. Her enormous hand stretched into the hall, palm open, waiting. The man stared at it, his chest rising and falling in panic. He knew stepping into her hand would mean surrender, but not stepping in. What would that mean? Death or something worse? The choice burned before him, and whichever path he chose, he knew his life would never be his own again. The ruins fell silent after her words. The man stood frozen, staring at the giant hand stretched toward him. His breath shook, his body screamed to run, but there was nowhere to run. Slowly, reluctantly, he stepped forward, his boots scraping the stone. The ground trembled as he placed himself in her palm. Her fingers closed around him, careful yet firm. The warmth of her skin pulsed like the heartbeat of a world. The widow's voice slid into his mind again, steady and final. You doubt yourself. You doubt me. Then you will be tested. Only the strong may walk beside me. The man's chest tightened. Tested? How? The alien widow's eyes glowed brighter. Not by words, not by choices, by survival. Her grip lifted him high, then set him down at the edge of a vast arena carved into the earth. The ground was black stone, cracked and scorched, as if fire had burned here for ages. Towering walls circled the pit, their edges jagged, their surfaces etched with ancient runes that pulsed with faint light. The man's legs wavered beneath him. What is this place? Her voice thundered above him. The trial hall. Here, my people proved their worth. Warriors fought to prove strength. Mates proved they could protect what they claimed. You will face the same. If you endure, you will rise. If you fall. Her words lingered like a knife left hovering at his throat. Then you were never worthy. The man's breath came fast and shallow. His eyes darted across the empty pit. You expect me to fight? I'm human. I'm not built for this. I'll die. Her gaze burned. Perhaps. But perhaps you will surprise even yourself. I did not choose you for nothing. Before he could argue, the ground shook. A low growl rumbled through the stone, vibrating up his legs. His heart lurched. Something moved in the shadows. From the darkness of a tunnel, a creature emerged. It was massive, twice the height of the man, its body plated with armored scales that shimmered like molten glass. Its mouth stretched wide, lined with jagged teeth dripping with thick saliva that sizzled as it hit the ground. 4 glowing eyes locked onto him with hunger. The man staggered back, panic flooding his chest. No, this isn't fair. The widow's voice pressed into his mind, cold and merciless. Survival is never fair. The beast lunged. The man dove to the side, hitting the stone hard. Pain shot up his arm. He scrambled, his lungs burning, his body screaming at him to give up. But when the beast's claws raked the stone where he had just been, he found himself running, his legs fueled by pure terror. The widow watched from above, her gaze sharp, unflinching. She did not move to help. The man stumbled across the arena, his boots slipping on cracked stone. The beast roared, its breath hot and foul against his back. He spun, hing desperately. No weapon, no shield, nothing but his own hands and mind. Think, he gasped to himself. Think, damn it! The beast lunged again. He ducked, rolling across the floor. His fingers scraped against loose shards of stone. He grabbed one, sharp as glass, and clutched it tight until blood dripped from his palm. The creature turned, its glowing eyes narrowing. It charged. The man waited, heart pounding, every instinct screaming at him to flee. But instead, at the last moment, he dove forward, sliding beneath the beast's claw. With a desperate cry, he drove the shard into the softer flesh between its armored plates. The beast roared in pain, staggering back. The shard snapped in half, but blood, thick and luminous, poured from the wound. The man scrambled to his feet, chest heaving, his body shook with terror and adrenaline. He knew he hadn't killed it, but he had hurt it. The widow's voice rang in his head, softer this time. Yes, that fire, that will. Do not stop. The beast snarled, its movements slower now, its anger blinding. It lunged again, but clumsier. The man dodged, grabbed another shard, and struck again, this time at its leg. The beast collapsed with a roar, slamming into the stone. Dust and smoke rose around him. The man stood panting, every muscle trembling, his body streaked with cuts and blood. He could barely feel his arms. His legs wobbled beneath him, but he was still standing. The creature writhed, then went still. Silence fell across the arena. The widow lowered her massive head, her glowing eyes fixed on him. You see now, she said. You are not weak. You are not prey. You are mine. The man dropped to his knees, gasping. His hands shook violently, blood dripping from his wounds. He wanted to scream at her, to curse her for throwing him into death's jaws, but deep inside, beneath the fear and rage, a flicker of something else burned. He had survived. Against all odds, he had survived. He looked up at her towering figure, his breath ragged, and for the first time he felt not just fear, but power. The widow's voice softened, almost gentle. Now you understand. You are not here to die. You are here to rise. Together, we will forge something greater than either of us alone. Her words wrapped around him like chains. He hated her for it. He feared her for it. But in the ashes of the trial, in the glow of her eyes, he could not deny one truth. He had proven himself. And that was exactly what terrified him most. The arena lay silent. The beast's broken body still smoked where it had fallen, its glowing blood seeping into the cracks of the stone. Dust floated through the air like ash after a fire. The man stood at the center of it all, his chest heaving, his body bruised and bloodied. His hand still gripped a shard of stone slick with the creature's blood. Above him, the widow loomed. Her glowing eyes burned down like twin suns, filling the pit with pale light. She was still, watching, waiting. The man's heart slammed against his ribs. He wanted to shout at her, to curse her for forcing him into the trial. He wanted to demand answers, but his voice would not come. Because deep inside, beneath the anger, beneath the fear, something else burned. Pride. He had faced death and lived. He had proven stronger than he ever believed, and though he hated her for it, he knew one truth. Without her, he would already be dead. Her voice filled his mind, calm and heavy as stone. You see it now. You have the fire, the will, the strength to stand at my side. You are no longer a drifting shadow. You are mine. The man staggered back, shaking his head. No, no, I'm not yours. Her eyes narrowed, but her voice remained steady. You can deny it with words, but your blood sings with truth. You fought. You endured. You rose. Do you think that was for nothing? His breath caught. She was right. He had risen. He had survived. But at what cost? He turned his eyes to the ruins carved into the arena walls. Symbols of her people, giants who had torn themselves apart through pride and hunger. Was he about to step into their story? Was he about to repeat their mistakes? The widow lowered her head, her enormous face filling his vision. Her voice softened, almost pleading. Do not fear. I am not asking you to carry this alone. Together, we will forge something new. Together, we will create life stronger than either of us. They will not fall as my people did. They will not fade as yours did. They will be eternal. Her words pressed into him, wrapping around his heart like chains. He wanted to reject her, to scream no until the sound shattered the sky. But then her visions returned, unbidden, flooding his mind. Children with glowing eyes, running through alien fields, climbing mountains of crystal, laughing, strong, alive. Children who carried his fire and her strength. Children who would never drift alone, never be forgotten. The man clenched his fists. His body shook. He whispered into the silence, "What if they're monsters?" The widow's glowing eyes softened. Then they will be my monsters, and yours, and together we will teach them, guide them, shape them. His throat closed. His breath caught. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to deny her, both at once. He sank to his knees, his body trembling from exhaustion and fear. His voice cracked as he whispered, "Why me?" For the first time, the widow's voice faltered. It grew quiet, almost human. Because I am alone, because I cannot bear to vanish into silence, and because when I looked into your eyes, I saw something I had never seen before. Her words lingered, heavy and raw. The man's chest tightened. Loneliness. He had known it too. Drifting alone in the pod, waiting for death. In her, he saw the same emptiness, stretched over centuries. He raised his head, meeting her burning gaze. For the first time, he saw not only a predator, not only a conqueror. He saw a widow, desperate, broken, fighting against extinction, and that terrified him more than her strength. Her enormous hand extended once more, palm open, waiting. Her voice pressed into him, gentle but firm. Come to me. Be my husband. Together we will forge life eternal. This is your choice, human. Live as nothing, or rise as everything. The man's breath quickened. His mind screamed in every direction. If he stepped into her hand, he would surrender his freedom, his humanity, his very future. But he would also gain power, purpose, and something he had not known in years, connection. If he refused, he might die, alone, forgotten. The silence stretched. The dust hung in the air. The widow's glowing eyes never blinked. The man rose slowly to his feet. His legs trembled. His fists clenched. His heart thundered in his chest as he looked at the open hand before him. Step forward or turn away. His voice broke into a whisper. I... The screen fades to black. The choice is left unsaid. The future, unknown. Only the question burns. Will humanity's fire be swallowed by the widow's shadow, or will it rise with her into eternity?